Hi, welcome to this week's edition of Blues Talk. Again, John, Dave and myself are going to look back over Leinster's great victory in Glasgow, all the other European Cup games, and look forward to our match against Ulster in the second half. And I suppose we just might as well say that we apologise for not being on last week. We had a few minor technical difficulties. So anyway, boys, 34-18 over in Glasgow. A pretty comprehensive victory. Didn't look like that after maybe 25 minutes, but
sure didn't.
It certainly, to come away with 5 points out of that match was pretty spectacular.
I was hoping for a win, because I believe that Heineken Cup Leinster is always slightly different than Pro 12 Leinster. I was hoping for a win, but the way the win eventually came about and the bonus point were not beyond my wildest dreams, but were extremely satisfying and somewhat unexpected.
Oh yeah.
I can have some pretty wild dreams, let me tell you. Some of them involve Kelly MacDonald. But I thought once we started kind of ramping it up and grinding them down, they didn't really have an answer to it. Obviously, there'd been good preparation. We'd seen what Exeter had done the week before. We kind of went out to do kind of the same thing, but just a little bit more.
Yeah, the weather was always going to dictate the way we were going to the woodshed, as Eddie would say, with that one, and it was always going to be about the pack and mauling the shite out of them, scrumming the shite out of them, tiring them, and just containing them. It was all about containment. The fact that our handling stood up enough to get us those tries was a bonus for sure. But I would have taken 6-5. I would have shaken hands on a draw, to be honest. Before I said that on the way to the game in the taxi, I said, "Would you shake hands now on a draw?" And a few of the lads said, "Yeah, definitely." So to get, I was hoping 6-5. I win, or I wouldn't take a losing bonus point. A few of the lads said, "Oh, losing bonus." I said, no.
Because I think we are good enough.
The win, we should be good enough with the team we had out, with Johnny Sexton pulling the strings, to use a cliche.
I think our big players stood up for us.
Time,
compared to their big players. Okay, Hogg can be really good going forward, but then he can make massive mistakes. Remember, we missed a touch kick, and then he kicked it literally 90
all
metres.
the way down behind
but
it.
it was a scrum back to
Yeah.
where the ball was kicked from.
Yeah.
Because he,
a little over exuberant with the boot.
but and he had the wind. I mean, people probably didn't see it on the telly, but when you were there was a very strong wind down behind his back, and it's those moments that really
That's what gave us the Keane Healy try.
Exactly, yeah. And it's those little moments in games that are crucial, that you need your experienced player. Like, he's a Lion, he's RBS Six Nations player, the championship 2 seasons in a row.
Yeah.
It's those times that those players have to be the ones to stand up and say, "Today I'm the man."
Was it Matt Williams used to call them? Championship moments.
But
and he's right.
Yeah, but look at Johnny did it.
He scored 2 tries.
Johnny did it. Henshaw did it last week. All our even if you look at Keane Healy, a fella who's been
had a hard
couple of years between injury, getting usurped on the team, and he came back, scored 2 tries. Really, really stood up and said, "I'm not gone yet, lads."
Looking like 2009 Keane Healy as well.
He's looking very good.
Looking very good.
I have to say though, on the part of Glasgow, they had 2 head clashes, or 2 of their forwards clashed heads. The second one was quite late in the game.
It was about 5 minutes to go.
Only 5. It was just around when we scored our try. But they had to bring a hooker on.
Yeah, I know.
In the back row for that scrum. They wouldn't have a pack of the class of ours to begin with.
World's smallest violin playing for them.
They wouldn't have a pack up to the standard of ours to begin with. But when they lose their captain quite early on, and second row, another back row gone, they had no impact to bring on late in the game in the pack, none. Because their sub props are not amazing. Like, Fagerson is good, but there's not a whole lot behind them.
Yeah, but you can add 6 players to our, if you were going, as I said last week or the week before, if you were picking your starting Leinster 15 at the start of the season, I'm sure you'd have Issa in it, Sean O'Brien, Heaslip. I know Conan's playing great rugby at the moment. Rob Carney, Gary Ringrose, and then we've got our new signing hasn't come over yet. James Lowe.
Issa.
I said Issa. So that's 6 guys, or maybe
the
7.
Edinburgh weren't set up to win the match.
Glasgow.
Glasgow. Yeah, I mean, when Plan A failed, they went for a little bit more Plan A, and that's not. You can't. You're not going to survive at the upper echelons of Europe with only one way to play. You just aren't. It's not possible.
Well, they were relying on a fast and sometimes quite illegal breakdown, and they were just shoveling the ball wide quite a lot. Which, yes, they made line breaks of it, but it was going wide for the sake of it. A lot of the times, there's very few times where they really sucked in players of ours into midfield with hard carrying or anything. You know,
and the other
just
side,
literally trying to outflank us on the fly, and if it didn't work straight away,
the other side is work rate. I mean. Would you have seen Finn Russell chase back 60 metres to make up for a tackle he'd missed, for example? I don't think so.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's what elevates the guys who win big trophies from the guys who don't, who win the next level of trophy. That's what separates Johnny Sexton from Finn Russell. It's what separates, Scott Fardy from other guys. It's what separates Cian Healy from other guys. I mean, Cian Healy would have been easy to see out his career. But he's working harder than ever because he wants that position back. He wants to be the big dog again. And you look at guys like Tadhg Furlong, and you mentioned our spine. You look at the guys who played well. It was all the leadership positions. Everyone played well. Then you had Reece Ruddock into that, who's just on fire at the moment.
Great game, yeah.
Well, we scored 4 tries to get that 5 points.
Oh yeah.
So why don't we have a look at them now? Cian
Why
Healy,
not,
obviously.
indeed. First 2 are good. Thundering, like Armagh was going really
It was
well.
brilliant, actually. Because we were a couple of years ago, Armagh was
rubbish,
nothing to write home about at all.
But and even at times earlier in the season it wasn't incredible. Last season it wasn't incredible, but this
There's a lot of beef in that pack.
yeah.
Like, you need an international pack to win the European Cup.
Oh, you do,
Of course.
yeah.
And these guys are all internationals, pretty much.
Yeah. Well, we've one guy was in a World Cup final, and the rest are all Irish internationals, pretty much.
But that's the quality. I mean, look back when Munster won it; they had pretty much the Irish pack.
Yeah.
There's the guts of the Irish pack is in the Leinster team, and then you obviously add in someone like
Scott Fardy
into it.
Yeah.
But it was a seriously well formed mall, and Cronin's throwing was good as well.
A lot of even the earlier tackles that they're making. I mean, this is a last minute tackle just to drive the guy back. I mean, we're pushing hard. I mean, there's no way they're stopping Cian Healy being driven by Tadhg Furlong over the line. It's just not happening. I mean, it's simply not happening.
And we're starting to look like that irresistible thing we were talking about it last week that nobody got to hear about. It
was Russian secret agents in the pay of Donald Trump.
Where we got into their 22 and we looked like scoring quite a lot,
Yeah. So anyway, Cian got a second try. So we'll go with that one.
A familiar looking setup.
I went to buy chips when this was happening.
This mall was a thing of beauty. Look at the length. Look how long and narrow it is when it gets trundling. Look at it. You'll see it up here now. Look at that.
Yeah.
There's no way they're getting that ball.
No. And like taking out 4 guys there,
And patience as well. To make sure everybody stays on side. There's no truck and trailer. There's no accidental offsides.
And then Mr. Healy, boom.
Yeah, and McGrath was kind of marshalling them, and you could see him, directing them like your old friend.
Yeah, well, in fairness, he was
Stringer.
very good at that. He was very good at managing his forwards.
That's one of his party tricks, isn't it? It's one of his strengths. He's good, got great leadership.
And Petit General.
And he's very good at driving the pack around the field. You can't see Gibson Park doing that, He can do a lot of the flashy stuff very well, but
it's probably not something he ever learned how to do in New Zealand rugby. It's not really something they do.
It's
that
not
kind
a
of
big thing. Yeah, you're right.
He looks happy anyway.
He looks pleased with himself. And so he should. I mean,
he's had a tough few years.
You look at that. That's kind of the if you like the hard ass nature of the Leinster team. That's 43.05, right?
Yeah.
And the decision was made with the clock in the red to go for the line out instead of risky points. But with Johnny Sexton, was it that risky? He could have taken 3 points and everybody would have been happy and gone, oh look, Leinster got an extra 3 points. But instead they go for this. They have that ruthless streak that they used to have.
And you mentioned championship minutes.
Yeah.
Look at them there, 43 minutes. And when did we score our last try?
Yeah,
Probably
exactly,
in the red
73
zone
minutes.
as well.
Yeah.
Near the red zone.
Then the King decided to have a go. But again, they're barely stopping us on the line. If you look, there's 2 or 3 thrusts here that could have penetrated.
But like they were giving away penalties. They could have had someone like
Oh, yeah.
they were giving away penalties at nearly every ruck time.
Yeah, that was just delightful.
Beautiful.
That would remind you of Nathan Hines in his
did.
pomp.
One
Yeah.
thing, look at the celebration there, okay?
Yeah.
That is somebody that those players love.
Oh, yeah.
Because they know he's going to be the one that if he's playing well, they have a chance
Yeah.
to win
Yeah.
the European Cup.
Yeah.
They need him to play
Great,
well.
great play here from Luke,
Yes.
and again Johnny again.
Yeah.
But you can see he's hungry. I mean,
Oh
there
yeah,
was,
yeah.
you know, he's
Here
32
we go.
years
Here.
of age.
Worth
He's
watching again, boys.
won 2 line
Boop.
series
Oh yes.
and 3 European Cups, and he's still obviously very hungry for more success.
And again, didn't quite see it there, but the second angle is probably the best.
When are teams who try and rough Johnny up going to realise that actually that just makes him narky? And when he's narky, he's better.
Yeah, but like if you're trying to do that to a small, frail-looking guy,
Yeah.
but look, Johnny Sexton's about 6
He's a
foot 2.
big guy.
Like, he's a big lad. He's
Yeah.
well
He is.
able to look after himself. I thought it was noticeable. He took a penalty. You know, the crowd are getting on his back because he was milking the 2 minutes, and then they subbed him off. Obviously, wrap him up in cotton wool, bigger fish to fry, and he just sarcastically applauded the Boo Boys.
Good old Johnny. But
He
that
didn't even point at the scoreboard.
that should have been a
right?
yellow card for that penalty when Horn took him out.
Yeah, he took him out. That's right.
I mean that was very cynical play, you know.
And this is the last try.
Reader.
Again, nice passing.
Lovely little switch from
Yeah.
Carberry, wasn't it? And straight through the hole. The lads were kind of all at sea there now, in fairness.
He's a beautifully balanced runner, Reid.
He is. He's great going forward.
Yeah.
Still misses the odd tackle though.
Yeah. I've kind of there was a very good article actually in Telegraph today.
Yeah.
And kind of leading on from last week about what I was saying, which nobody saw, which was about, there's a difference between a missed tackle and an unsuccessful tackle.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think Leinster are swarming, to try and get guys to actually. It doesn't matter who makes the tackle. If you force the
I
guy
agree.
to do what you want.
Look at Adam Byrne. We mentioned it last
Yeah.
week. Adam Byrne was hitting Nandolo, but he wasn't putting him to ground.
No.
But he was stalling him enough for other guys to join the tackle. And I suppose he's going to have an X on his stat sheet for a missed tackle there. But he still
He did his job.
contributed
Yeah.
to it. And he didn't necessarily. There's no point in jumping in the tackle.
No.
Get back in your position and defend.
No, absolutely,
further.
yeah. The thing about Nandolo is you got to stop his momentum. Otherwise he just goes flying through the air like he did against
Yeah,
Exeter
exactly,
at the weekend.
yeah. Well, speaking of which, we'll come back to the Leinster match shortly, but Exeter seem to be the other team in the pool that we're going to have to challenge with. We've got 10 points. They've got 8.
Mhm.
Montpellier, I think, are on 3 now.
Yeah, Montpellier.
Glasgow, 0.
Glasgow are, to all intents and purposes, out of it. Montpellier were very unlucky, and then I suppose Exeter, the conversely to that, were lucky in that. I mean, 2 very easy conversions. I mean very easy.
But they missed.
Were missed, and that's 4 points, and they lost by 3.
Yeah.
I mean, there was no level of difficulty to them. They were junior rugby. J1 standard kicker would have converted both of them, but Pienaar missed and Pyog missed.
Yeah. And last week, I didn't
Pienaar missed one as well. Yeah.
I didn't see the game, Exeter's game against Glasgow last weekend, but talking to a few Glaswegians at the weekend, they were saying we should have won that game.
Mhm.
So like it just they're getting their fortuitous results at the moment, and they're still up there, still in contention.
Yeah.
And obviously, when we go over to Sandy Park, it's going to be a tricky fixture.
The question will be, what will they do when they come up with a team that's got a pack as good as theirs and a backline as good as Glasgow's? And that's
Hopefully
Yeah,
not
it'll
very
be-
much.
It'll be a
And
great
that's us.
game. Looking forward to that one. Munster against Racing. Munster got there.
Did you watch it?
I did. I watched it, but at that
We
stage
were
now I was
watching it
about
in the
9
pub.
pints in,
Yeah.
so it's
So you
a bit
might
hazy.
see if you drifted off after the hour mark, you might have thought it finished 0-0.
Well, I played in a 0-0, and we actually managed to make it the 80 minutes. Was so I was hoping there would be a score, because I think that dubious honour should remain.
Yeah. Well, Racing went home with a losing bonus point and a winger.
Well, this is a point, right? And this is a serious question. And this Owen McDermott suggested that with with RBS's the lack of the new sponsor for the Six Nations, RBS going to continue sponsoring, but with some
reduced.
rumours that a 30% haircut on what they were paying last season, that the IRFU coffers aren't going to be as full as they were maybe a couple of years ago with the RBS money. We all know that the IRFU is driven by their international the financial clout that
Which is
has.
in sterling.
Yeah, and of course then there's the FX problem with sterling. Not problem, but the loss in value of it. And maybe the IRFU just don't have the cash, the welly to compete now with the French clubs if they do want to go in and cherry pick some.
I'd say if they wanted to compete, they could. I'd say that they used their actuarial spreadsheet and entered in all their data and looked at the guy and said, is this guy going to be a first choice coming into the 2019 World Cup? Probably not. Is he going to be worth, over 450,000? Probably not. He does have a high injury tally as well.
I don't know. He's just kind of a special player, in fairness, but
He is a bit of a marquee player. Like, we slag him off a good bit because we're Leinster, and but you have to say he's got
he can
he's
make
the
shit
most
happen.
tries for Munster, doesn't he? And maybe Foley has a few more than him. I'm not sure, but Foley played a little longer than him. Admittedly, it's number 8, but still he is.
He's on the back of a lot of mauls.
He was,
that
yeah,
flopped over
absolutely. And but he's mad into social media, so he's got a bit of a high profile over it. Certainly the media love him as well, and Munster
got a bit of X factor,
he does. I mean, even the little flick that he did against Wales 4 or 5 seasons ago, there's that thing, and you just wonder if
he's box office.
he's his box office.
But he's not trophy case.
Anyway,
but that's the point. I mean, you look for all his tries and all. What have Munster won since he became a regular?
I'd say he's
One
not
Pro
the
12?
I'd say he's not the only reason they haven't.
No, but I mean, you
won
look at it
since
this way.
he
You look at it
became
this way. We're going to play South Africa in the autumn internationals. Does he start? No. On current form, does he? No, I don't think he does.
Well,
Earls is probably ahead of him.
Earl, Stockdale, and Carberry are the current form men. So you're going into a Six Nations then, and then you're going into another cycle, and there's other guys coming through, and they're looking at their kind of, what are we getting in return for this guy?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that they're convinced that they're going to get the IRFU will not break the bank for anyone unless they're really, really special.
We'll put it this way: he got subbed up for the Lions tour in 13, and he didn't get selected this year.
No.
So and they brought
Bit
a
of
lot.
an indicator.
They brought a lot of players on that. In 05 they got slagged off.
And he wasn't a million miles away either. He could have been one of the Geography 6. He was in Japan at the time, if you recall.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's we can kind of get a little bit caught up by thinking, oh God, if he's playing for an Irish club, he must be brilliant. But at the same time, other coaches didn't think so.
No, and that's the thing. I mean, you look at he played in the 2015 Six Nations, but as soon as anyone else was available, he was dropped. He didn't play in 2014.
Yeah, well, he's he can versatile now. He can play full back as well. You never know.
Yeah,
He'd be a good man for 20.
Well, anyway, I don't like seeing our good players.
No, I think it's bad for Munster. I don't think it matters down to Ireland, but I think it's bad for Munster because as well as the country, as well as the national team need marquee players, the provinces need marquee players.
Yeah.
And he was a marquee
and
player.
that's what I mean. That's what I was referring to,
Yeah.
rather than the national team, because the national team has enough
The national team's badge is the marquee enough.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think, I do agree. But at the end of the day, I mean, according to French newspapers, who are not always the most reliable, the IRFU offer was somewhere between 350 and 450,000 euro, which means that he's probably the French offer would obviously have to be quite a bit bigger.
$500,000 or more.
Oh yeah, because you're talking about a guy he's not going to get too many endorsements over in France.
No.
He's not going to get any international caps.
No. I mean, and he's not going to. I mean, if he's going, if as is widely reported or widely expected, if he's going to Racing Paris, he's not going to be on too many billboards.
Wouldn't have thought so.
Because I mean, in a city the size of France, even a big club like Racing Club or Stade Francais, they do kind of, they're nothing compared to Neymar. They're nothing compared to Cavani. You know.
Exactly.
So I think it's sad for Munster, but I think that it just shows that a line has been drawn in the sand by the IRFU in terms of both their finances and their, if you like, player selection policy. I mean, I'd love to be able to come on and say, "Oh, it's all David Nucifor's fault." I really, really would, but it's not.
Well,
I actually think he's doing a pretty
Plenty of
good
other
job.
things that are David Nucifor's fault at the moment. So we come.
I think his brief has been to move rugby back from 18, 19, 20-year-olds to 15, 16-year-olds that Leinster are looking at.
I thought it was brief had been
And
moved to move
other
rugby
things.
back to the 1930s, which is
And
certainly done
Many
attitudinally.
other things. I don't know. I think there's plenty negative things you can say about him, of course, but I think on balance, I think he's doing a good job.
I don't think he's done anything whatsoever.
Okay, there you go.
okay. Well,
Argument for another day, Dave.
well, La Rochelle stuffed Ulster.
Yeah.
I thought when I saw this,
Started well, Ulster.
they did, but then I saw the team selection and I thought, have Ulster actually picked or decided to rest some of their better players? Like, I was surprised. Stockwell was on the bench.
Yeah.
Best was on the bench. They played their
Luke Marshall was on the bench.
I think Best was 100%.
okay. but
Cooney
they-
was on the bench.
Cooney. They played
Him neither.
their best player, Ian Henderson, and out of position. He's a second row. He's world class second row. He's not a world class number 6. And I thought they went out there as damage limitations, not really put too much of an effort in, try and pick something up.
Use a bonus
but
point, maybe.
definitely didn't go out there to win that game at all costs. And then they throw an intercept, and as you said, they did look dangerous when they threw an intercept and 7 gifted points.
Yeah.
What about La Rochelle, though?
I know, fantastic.
Jesus. Oh, yeah,
They
great,
they
yeah,
are great.
absolutely.
And
Yeah.
I was looking at the size of their loose head, the guy who started. He's enormous. And then you look over to their tight head, who's Udi Antonio.
Yeah. He's the smaller of the two.
Yeah.
135 kilos plus VAT. And he's just ridiculous. And then they bring on some other guy to replace him, who's another man mountain. But they seem to have pace as well as size. They seem to be able to handle themselves as well as. They don't look ponderous like Montpellier do, for example.
No.
They seem to have a more expansive game than a lot
Yeah,
of the
well,
top 14.
I mean, those guys. I mean, they don't have
haven't seen
lumbering
them like
giants
that.
throughout the pitch. You see,
I haven't seen any top 14, so you didn't even
they
see
got
much
guys
last year.
like Sinzel who don't look like athletes at all. I mean, he's not fat; but he looks scrawny, kind of thing. The guys like that, their game is based on a really, really strong pack and then running very fast. And it's quite a good when you've got a really strong pack the way that they have.
And Victor
and Victor Vito linking it
looking
all
amazing.
together.
Lovely offload there
Yeah.
from him.
And they were on their, I think, their third choice out
One-handed.
half by the end of by half time, because Brock James was injured, Ryan Lamb got injured. They're
They were,
pretty strong.
They do look a bit suspect at out half with those
Yeah.
two players. It's just when
They're
you
a
see
bit
the
windy.
quality of the rest of their team,
Yeah.
the fact that they don't have somebody to knot it all together. Neither of them are rubbish players, right? And Brock James is getting a bit old, and Ryan Lamb has been through more clubs than
The other thing is that
Gavin Henson.
I mean, whilst they are a good team, what they've done is they do tend to they play the game in France a big time. They pick very strong teams at home and completely give up away from home, except for selected matches where they pick very, very strong teams. They do target matches. They're very clever that way. I mean, they don't have the budget of a Clermont or a Montpellier, so they can't. I mean, I think they're only 15 or 20 million. I think that's
But
but that's a small budget in France.
Okay, but
Yeah.
like they certainly generate, their fans generate
Oh, yeah,
an
but they-
epic.
A lot of their budget
atmosphere.
is generated by their own business activities. I don't think they have. I don't think I don't think their sugar daddy is that sugary, as it were.
Who knows? Some other notable games was one was certainly Treviso 29.
Oh, yeah.
That was a great
Toulon
game.
30.
Yeah.
I didn't see it, but we were
Yeah, I watched
watching
it, yeah.
watching the
Watch it on
updates
CFAX.
on our phones. Yeah.
No, I watched the game live. One intercept, that was it, and then they got ahead, and there were 82 minutes on the clock and a scrum penalty.
Sickener.
Yeah, from the kickoff, from them going ahead. Actually, they knocked on.
Like to see Treviso take a 3-time European champion
To the woodshed.
to the woodshed and to 82 minutes
Yeah, yeah.
before they could get a winning penalty.
I will say Ian McKinley is nailed on for a cap this autumn. Absolutely nailed on. Because
It's what they've been missing.
if they have a better out half in Italy, they've been hiding him really, really well.
You know, he was there and thereabouts with Madigan back in.
Oh
the
yeah,
day.
but he was the man. He was
Yeah.
he was the next guy off the rank, and then
Definitely.
So obviously,
Yeah.
but yeah, like who'd have thunk it at the start of the season?
Yeah.
You know, when there was all this doom and gloom about the Pro 14 and
Mm-hmm.
the Italian teams, and should they even be in it anymore? And they're both putting up reasonably good accounts
Yeah.
of themselves.
Glasgow
all we
Saints.
want is competitiveness. That's
Yeah.
we don't want them to be. We don't need them to win every match. What we need them to do is be competitive in every
Yeah,
match,
you
and that's
don't-
what they're doing.
You don't want to end up like Saints, for instance, who
No.
just gets
Glasgow Saints and Quins are all behind Treviso in terms of either match points or
Mhm.
points difference,
like
or
Saints.
both.
Saints suffered another defeat, obviously now down in Claremont, so
Yeah.
we give them that. But old
Again,
Dylan's up to his old tricks.
Well, a game not without its controversy. Morgan Parrish should he been allowed back on the pitch? He was supposedly he may have been knocked unconscious. We don't know. If he was knocked unconscious, then the World Rugby instruction is that he not be allowed back onto the pitch. The ref seemed to know that he was unconscious and still let him back. So I'd say Mr. Whitehouse has a little meeting in Huguenot House this morning.
I heard that he wasn't very good. I didn't see the game. I heard that Mr. Whitehouse.
I heard
let
somebody
himself
had
down
put
a
up
bit.
Given
a
decisions
feed.
against Saints.
All right, is that what it was?
Yeah.
Was it? Because Ben Kay and Ugo Manu were apparently given out about
They kept
it.
giving decisions against the English team. Did you not realise?
Of course, that's true. And I suppose poor old Ospreys beaten, but not only narrowly.
No,
36-34,
went down swinging. Yeah.
but like they just can't buy a
No, they
win. I
can't,
think
no.
they won one game, which was the opening match, which
Mm-hmm.
they won on against, I think it was Zebre on the first day of the season.
And it was lucky enough as well, if I recall.
Yeah.
They, in fairness, they couldn't do much more against Saracens. You wouldn't expect any team to do
were
much
they
more.
not playing in Allianz Park
They were, yeah.
as well?
Yeah.
Jeez,
I mean, I thought they were
that's
great.
damn
Yeah, that's what I'm
impressive.
saying.
No,
yeah.
it is, but I'm just saying that they haven't won.
Yeah.
And they could have won that game from what I've heard.
They could have
I
done, yeah,
Didn't see it either.
Saracens are a very, very good team. I mean, obviously they are. I mean, some idiot, some journalist suggested that they'd win the Grand Slam on Twitter. I suggested he
Sure,
look up the
Saracens-
definition of hubris.
Saracens won't thank him for that comparison.
But they're a very, very good side, and Ospreys really put it up to them. But at the end of the day, they were just able to. They just had that, the way that teams like Leinster, when we were good, when we were winning, and we always just knew how to win those games.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a few teams on 10. Sarries are on 10, ourselves, and La Rochelle.
Rochelle.
Yeah, so the rest of them, though, I think Munster and Leicester are both on 6 points, and Leicester are top in the group. By
That's going to be a big game.
Points
Leicester are in
difference.
great form at the moment.
They'd be cast 54-29.
Absolutely went through them for a dose of salts. Like
Yeah,
it was 35-3, and then Leicester it was all over, so they took the foot off, and they just every time Castor came back, they just keep the gap, keep the gap, keep the gap.
Matt O'Connor's Leicester.
Is that? Oh, that's right. Yeah, he's there.
Well, I mean, boys, as ever, thanks a million, and thanks very much for watching. Cheers.